Hello, everyone. This is Charles in Chicago with you on Saturday, October 28th. Well, it's been several days since I've talked to you about any Catholic news, and of course, there's news every day, and a lot of it's revolving around um, this whole concept of what constitutes doctrine and can doctrine be changed. And of course, all this was brought about by Pope Francis's comments about the death penalty. Um, but it's more of the same, cardinal against cardinal or bishop against cardinal. And, what's obvious here is that both sides are very well entrenched with their beliefs. Um, Now you can see what I have here on the screen um, is transubstantiation, a dogma. And I'm going to talk about this in a few minutes because there was an article posted just this morning on 1peter5.com website, a very reputable website. No one should have any, you shouldn't hear anything about fake news about these people. They're very well informed, very well educated. In fact, there's some people with doctorate degrees on the staff, if that means anything. I suppose sometimes it really doesn't, but they're very well regarded. Well, to give you some background here, um, in Catholic prophecy, um, things are sometimes said, and a person would read it and go, "Oh, but this could never happen," Um, and really a good example of this is at Fatima, where the children made it public that Mary wanted the rosary said for Russia, who she said would turn communist, and that she wanted everyone to pray the rosary to stop this from happening. Well, people thought that this is children are making this up. Really, almost nobody believed it, because at the time Russia was a very um, um, you know, I don't know if they were exactly Catholic, but Eastern Orthodox Catholicism. Um, no one really paid any attention to this, and in fact, I don't know, maybe 12 years later, in the late 20s or maybe around 1930, in fact, Russia did become a communist country. And the whole purpose of Mary saying this was to stop this from happening, but people didn't listen. Okay? So, it's an excellent example. And of course, like I think it was 1932, that the Catholic Church says, oh, okay, well, I guess we can approve the apparitions at Fatima, after but the whole purpose of it was defeated by the fact that the church didn't really take it seriously and didn't act on it. But so it is with prophecy. Anyway, there's some prophecy of about 6 years ago. Now, this person has been condemned by the Catholic Church. And, the reason they're condemned, they say there's all kinds of errors in the messages that she was posting. Um, but, I mean, the real reason is, which nobody seems to want to talk about, is she calls, not by name, but she makes it pretty obvious that Pope Francis is a destroyer of Catholicism, to put it bluntly. Uh, and she, over a series of many messages, um, it's pointed out all the different things that will happen in the Catholic Church as he begins to dismantle it and to form a one world religion, which the first step in that is trying to unite all of Christianity. Now we've seen if you paid attention in the last couple of years, he's made some rather questionable remarks about Luther and the statue of Luther in the Vatican, and he's really had quite a bit to say about. He really portrays Luther in a much more positive light than has ever been. No one's ever really spoken about Luther in this sort of way. And in fact, just recently, a few days ago, an Italian bishop said that Lutheranism, or the beginning of Protestantism, was really a event of the Holy Spirit. And another cardinal, Mueller, I believe, from Germany, who's an Orthodox cardinal, came out and said just the opposite. So, another indication of the positions and the division in the church. So anyway, this woman I'm talking about, she's condemned by the church. Well, I mean, it's obvious why. She's pointing the finger at the leadership in the Vatican, and saying that this Pope is the destroyer of Catholicism. Now, you can go all the way back into the 1600s to Our Lady of Good Success, and or you could look at Akita and other prophecies which say that basically the same thing. But a lot of people don't want to believe that that's what's happening right now. So anyway, this whole concept of unifying Christianity, I mean, it all sounds great. Now, when I first heard about this a few years ago, first thing I came to my mind is like, okay, what do we got to give up? In other words, Protestantism, Baptists, Presbyterians, Lutherans, I mean, are all these different sects of Christianity going to come to the recognition and accept transubstantiation in reality? In other words, what Christ said at the Last Supper, he actually meant exactly what he said. So other Christian religions have different concepts of this. I believe Protestants actually believe that there's a fleeting presence of Christ, sort of like a flyby over the Eucharistic bread and the wine. And most others don't really believe in it at all. They just believe it's sharing of bread and wine between brothers and sisters. So you really got to wonder, what it is the Catholic Church has to give up in order to make this unification with all of Christianity. And in fact, we've been given some indication of this, and I'm going to go ahead and talk about that right now as soon as I bring up this site here. All right, so this morning, like I said, on 1 Peter 5, there's supposed to be a secret commission or a secret group of people, but they're not so secret. I mean, people pretty much know about this. And they're working on something called an ecumenical mass. Okay, now, they're using the word mass, well, the mass to us is something very specific. I mean, eventually it'll probably just turn into the words ecumenical service, because it can't really be the mass if the Catholic Church is going to change their stance on transubstantiation. Anyway, so one of the people that is working on this, let me see here, let me find this for you. All right. Now, this comment that I'm going to read here was, it says here in the article, it was made by a highly regarded, unrestrained lay liturgist by the name of Andrea Grillo, who is, according to what they tell me, involved in the work to create an ecumenical mass. The comment is, this is the comment that she's allegedly made. Now, they say allegedly, okay? Now, you can't take this as proven fact, but she made this comment to a person, a reputable person, even so, who then told 1 Peter 5 that this is what was said. All right, so Andrea makes this comment. Transubstantiation is not a dogma, and as an explanation of the Eucharist, it has its limits. For example, it contradicts metaphysics, okay? All right, so it contradicts metaphysics. All right, so, we have had in the Catholic Church for centuries and centuries, and still today, very well documented Eucharistic miracles of the body of Christ bleeding, all different kinds of things, So, the article goes on to talk about what the Council of Trent has said. Or here's the handwriting on the wall. Here's another comment from in the same article. On October 31st, 2016, following the commemoration, this has to do with the 500th anniversary of the Reformation, Cardinal Kurt Koch, president of the Pontifical Council for Promoting Christian Unity, told reporters, all right, okay, he told reporters, all right, he just told them it's a new beginning, all right, we have a new beginning, it's very important. A joint statement issued by the Vatican and Lutheran World Federation that same day said that, quote, many members of our communities yearn to receive the Eucharist at one table as the concrete expression of full unity. This is the goal of our ecumenical endeavors, which we wish to advance, also by renewing our commitment to theological dialogue. Okay, so it's another. There's been a lot of comments by a lot of the modernist clergy in the Catholic Church about this kind of unity coming about. All right, so here we have not long ago Pope Francis bringing up this point of the death penalty, and trying to use that as that it's okay that doctrine develops. Okay, now like I said, there are theologians and Catholic philosophers right now that are going back and forth about this. All right, so he's muddied the waters here. Okay, now we're getting down to, see, we went from teachings. All right, can the Pope teach that it's okay for remarried or same-sex or cohabiting couples to receive the Eucharist, without changing their making a real effort to change, their sin, to stop sinning in this way. So that had to do with teaching. Then we have the death penalty, which has to do with doctrine. Now we have this kind of statement leaking out, okay, that has to do with dogma, okay? So it's getting progressively more serious here. If something like this, if the Catholic Church and this woman that I've talked about, this prophecy says this is exactly what's going to happen. This really is going to happen. And according to her, Christ said, at this time I will withdraw from the Eucharistic bread and any service, or whatever they want to call it. It doesn't matter what they call it. He will not be present in that sharing of bread, because the people there and the ministers there and the whole thing is all built around a lie. A lie. Christ is not going to be part of a lie, because he really is present in the Eucharistic bread. And I know a lot of Catholics don't believe that anymore, but that's very unfortunate. That's a whole nother topic. So, anyway, this article appears today if you want to read through it. And, there are some other kinds of news here. I could sit here and read to you news, which I'm not going to do. I'm trying to stick with, the things that are really, can really have an extreme impact. And I know this is just what I just talked about is something that's been allegedly said, but it fits in. It fits in with exactly the way Francis is moving the church. It fits in with Catholic prophecy. I thought it was important enough to bring to you today. So enjoy the day, and we'll talk to you next time. All right, bye-bye.